Hello, everybody. I'm going to start. I'm almost there. I'm gonna go for it. I'm going for it.
You're just going to jump in, all right, and then you can explain color spaces to me.
Okay,
right?
Yeah. Well, we can start now. Okay, how are we looking here? Working?
Hey, Rich.
Hey, Paul. How are you
Happy
doing?
Sunday. Looks good to me.
Yeah, sorry,
Looks good
it's so
to me.
washed
I got
out.
black bars. I got black bars
Oh,
around me, and I'm washed out. You're washed out.
No,
We're all washed
that's
out.
only because we'll talk about this in a second. But you're not really washed out. You are just. We're just. I say this. You are trying to look at an HDR content with an SDR system.
Really? That seems like more of a difference than HDR to SDR. But you're the expert. You're the expert. I thought that would be more subtle.
It's not subtle at all.
All right.
Not subtle because well, what do you want to talk about, Paul? You can talk about almost anything.
We got all kinds of action that we could talk about. Yeah. You have a great GPT4 thing. I did a fun thing. You know, our mutual friend, Mark O'Brien, old-time Excel guy.
Yeah, of course.
Lovely guy. I introduced him to LLMs, to GPT4 this week.
I bet he loved it.
And he was astonished. He was loving it. We went through a bunch of things. So he had told me about a project that he had done, like a coding task that he had done for his product, Fine Print. Yeah. He had described it to me. So before I spoke to him, I handed it to ChatGPT and the GPT4 version, and just asked it, like, hey, write some code. So first I said C code, and looked pretty good, and I sent it to Mark, and he said, well, try it with C++ code. So we put that in, and then yesterday he and I went back and forth with some. He said, well, I don't quite like the coding style there, or this uses a different library than I like to use. I like to use this other thing, and let's use this macro instead. So we tuned, and we went back and forth, 8 or 10 iterations, and it turned out great. So he was like astonished by this thing. He loves it. He says that will save me tens of hours over the course of a month or two, which is a noticeable savings.
So I think the productivity is probably.
It's incredible. He talked about it as which a fine and honestly not a terribly novel way of looking at it, as a programming assistant, right?
Yeah.
So. So it may not get it 100% to where you want it to be, but it makes the easy parts and the medium parts absolutely fall off a log easy and incredibly fast.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree. I also think that this is, anyone, by the way, we had almost 10 listeners.
Wow.
Nearly double.
It is getting there.
Anyone listening, I would run, not walk, learning how to do prompt engineering. I just think we'll show you a couple examples, but it is remarkable how much more efficient.
Yeah, and the step from 3.5 to 4, I reran some of my vacation planning prompts on in 4 just last week when it was released, and much better results, much clearer results. The 4 is a bit slower.
Oh, it's much slower. Well, it means much more complicated.
What are the numbers on the weight size? Do you know?
Okay, so just OpenAI, not to worry you, is the most closed thing on planet Earth, so no one knows. So they've gone from OpenAI to really, sort of the next Microsoft. And not in a good way, not the new Microsoft, but the old Microsoft. So no one knows what they're doing. It's not published, et cetera, et cetera. Who knows? But we do know that equivalent models like Palm from Google is at 700 billion parameters. I think that's right. At Facebook launched one at 7 billion parameters. There is some thought that the small models can work just as well if they have enough data. Like there's some papers there. So it's pretty clear it's the data that's important, not the model. And it does cost $20 or $30 million to train these things. So only a few number of people can do it. But I've got good news. There's an open source project right now that's trying to duplicate these results. Well, I think that, like everything else, vendor selection is going to matter. So there'll be a big trade-off, I think, between sort of the most powerful versus lock-in. That's what so, yeah, no. Well, do you want to talk about this? Do you want to talk about video production? What do you think the most interesting thing is?
Well, let's do some video stuff up front. I'm curious about that stuff. I've been following video and PC stuff for many years, but I've kind of lost track. So tell me the latest.
Well, I think the big thing is just really complicated to get an HDR workflow done. And I have posted, I don't know, 50 entries literally on my on the blog, which I'll put to right now, that talk about it. Just to talk through some of the problems. I was stuck today because Final Cut Pro basically ate my entire hard drive because it's rendering these high quality media things. It's I ended up remastering all of them. I ended up having to remaster them all, so I just want to show that to you. So all of the YouTube videos now are completely remastered in full high definition. This took a lot of energy, I'll tell you. It is pretty amazing how much work it takes to get there. Oh, I'm in the wrong. Let me just switch my account here so everyone can see. I'll add a little account here. We can take a look. For those of you who don't know, this is how we get to all of this stuff. Log in. Thank you.
1Password.
1Password. Glad for those guys. But just take a look at this channel, Paul. Now, I don't know how good it's going to look in the main area, but all of these things have been remastered. This whole podcast thing is working. So this is you remastered, and it's really complicated. I mean, getting the remastering right is really hard. I'll summarize by saying the key things are you've got to change Final Cut Pro's mastering system. You've got to change the each individual clip. It's just a lot of work to get done. Now this is going to look horrible for you, but just to prove it here, I don't know if you can see this, Paul, but you can see it says 4K HD, HD, right? Now, it turns out that on my iPhone, it actually says HDR because it actually knows how to project HDR. So this is really full HDR through the whole thing. So check our channel out. It's a YouTube/RichTong1. You can take a look at that. And then
RichTong1.
And then the hard part is something called regrading. And what this means is you can actually take a standard definition clip and actually convert it to a full HDR system. So there's
is that just like a code space difference, or does it actually do some enhancement to make it? It's
totally a code space difference. All it's doing is it's expanding SDR all the way up to the full thing, which is basically for those techie geeks, it's going from 100 nit max to 1,000 nits. Really a 10 times increase. And it turns out, of course,
I didn't realize the contrast was that large.
There's no screen on planet Earth that can even deal with it. So for those of you who don't know, like the current screen I'm using generates about 400 nits. The iPhones are generating about 1,600 nits, about 4 times more. So they're super bright. And that 5K Apple SDR thing, XDR thing, I now understand why it's so expensive, because it's the only monitor that can generate 1,500 nit peak, so literally 4 times more than anything you can see today. So that's the real craziness. Anyway, it's way too much to go through. It takes hours and hours to do, and it's really fun. And look at Tom Family if you want to learn how.
All right.
There you go.
Video production.
Video production is easy and complicated at the same time.
Do we have any merch? Do we make merch?
Yes,
I don't know.
We should definitely make merch.
Let's make some merch.
Bureau where we can make some merch. So let's make some merch for next time.
Cool.
It's a
I
great
can
thing.
put that on my list. You've been doing all this video.
Oh yeah.
production.
That should go
Let
on
me-
your list. Yeah.
Let me
Don't be so
jump
lazy,
in.
Paul. Don't be so lazy, man.
I know. No. I really am. So it's cotton. Yeah, it'll
Cotton
fit.
Bureau.
Cotton Zero. Okay.
Cotton
cool.
Bureau. Cotton Bureau.
Cotton Bureau. Oh, okay. All right. Good.
But ChatGPT. Now it turns out I've got to take Jang to a lunch, so we're going to cut this short today. But I just wanted to show you some of the queries. First thing is,
good.
this thing is the very best tutorial system on planet Earth. I've been trying to use Apple Motion, which is their motion system. One command, write an Apple Motion file to have a box explode and come back together. Now, because of the guardrails, it doesn't let you actually do this, in that you can't actually run any software because it doesn't want to create Skynet. It just tells you how to do it. But it goes through all the instructions. Launch Apple Motion, create this box, do this, animate the box. I was like, and it works. I can make a box, and it just happens.
Yeah, I saw the instructions. It was 18 steps. Like, now make it 3D.
Yep.
Now you can adjust these things if you like. It was quite detailed. Oh, we are now, in my view, frozen.
Oh,
so gulp.
That's not
I
good.
see.
Let me try stopping the camera again and starting it again. Did that work at all? I can see you.
No. Oh that's right. I have hide me. So let me say show self view. Oh, okay. Now I see. No, but the zoom, the rich tone view is titles and our still pictures.
Yes, I think what's happened is that the OBS virtual camera thing is just broken. Well, okay. Because I've got to take Jang to our thing anyway. Why don't we cut it off here? And I'm going to reboot this thing, and we'll start again
next week. Okay. All right, we'll have content for next week.
Unless you have time to do it when I get back. I'll be back in like half an hour. What's your schedule like?
I could if you like.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll just stop it right now, and I'll get it going. You guys soon.
Send me an SMS.
Yep.
Okay.
And we're back. Hey, Paul, how are you? Sorry, we had some problems with our virtual camera. Doesn't work perfectly.
All right, but we're all fixed up now.
Well, now I've got
good to me.
My setup is amazing. I can see the input to you. I can see what OBS is sending to you, and I can see you. I've got the perfect studio right now. Unbelievable. I feel so
all
powerful.
On consumer hardware, just like nothing. Just like on your Mac, right? There's no video specific hardware, no production specific hardware.
This is just the Mac. Okay. I will say it is running at 50% of GPU and 80% of 40% of CPU, 80% of GPU, half the RAM. This is a 64 gigabyte RAM machine, and it's a Pro Max. So I would say we are running at the very limits.
We're using some cycles. Yeah, we are.
Remember we had that discussion in our previous podcast about justification for needing better hardware?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we're here, baby.
Yeah, we got to sell more merch. I can tell the committee that we need more hardware so we can sell more merch.
So what should we talk about?
Retire earlier. So, well, let's see. What do you got?
I don't know. Well, we could do a little ChatGPT demo and discussion. I thought what you're doing with our mutual buddy is super cool. I just think that's the future.
Yeah, he loved it. He bought an API key, registered for ChatGPT. Yep. He is loving it. Yep. We started to call it Ed the programming assistant. So that was fun.
Can I give you an example? I just concocted
show me a demo.
All right, let's see if I can. Everyone see this? So this doesn't use any programming at all. So this is just using a ChatGPT. When you create it, you can pick the model, and you can see up here we've got GPT4 as the model. And I just wrote a query: write a Python program to move a robot around in a circle centered in Seattle, Washington. So this is
now, Rich. This looks a little fuzzy to me. Is that just me with my measly SDR problem?
Yeah, the problem is we're only transmitting at 72 feet over Zoom, and this is a 4K display. So I'm going to zoom this up until it looks less fuzzy to you. How's that? There?
That is less fuzzy. That is not super clear, but is less fuzzy. Okay, so we were 720p before.
So
Now
well, no, the Zoom output's only 720p, and this thing is a 2K display. So it looks perfect in video, but it looks horrible.
Oh, other than Zoom, it'll look great.
Zoom is doing. Remember, Zoom is doing amazing amounts of compression. Amazing.
It looks like it's really winning the compression race here.
It's definitely winning that race.
Okay.
But can you read this? I wrote.
Yes, with a little fuzzy eyes, I can.
Yeah. Okay. Write a Python program to move a robot around in a circle centered in Seattle, Washington. This is where I think it's such a great teaching tool. Because it generates, and obviously there are a lot of examples of this. It says we're going to use a HEVC formula, which I don't even know what that is. Here's how you create lat long, circle coordinates, and this looks correct to me, by the way. Okay. The 111.3 is about right. And then it says move robot to coordinates, and here's the Seattle lat long. It kind of puts that in there. 1 kilometer radius, 36 points, so it picks some defaults. And then it assumes you've got something called a robot that's going to let you move it. Right? Isn't that amazing? If you want to learn how to do this, it's there. And then I said, okay, using this is what we call pre-prompting. This is where you add a few facts, so it's more general. So I said use ROS2, which is the robotic operating system. And then it actually works with ROS, and it tells you how to install a new package. It tells you how to create a circle. It gives you all the directions because there's 1,000 examples in this thing. Isn't that amazing? Here's create the circle coordinates. Here's the next goal, and so forth. And look at the productivity here.
And as you point out, Rich, it's doing something for you, but also it's a way to get your hands on some sample code as a tutorial. Like here's the structure of a program that does this, and here are some methods that you can pick up. So I think it's super cool.
I think that's the most powerful part, is that it's not giving you some samples. I mean, it's not perfect, by the way. A lot of times this code doesn't quite run, but it gets you there. But here's the amazing part. Suppose I say, now I want to create a web interface to change the position.
And you're doing this live with the GPT4.
This is completely live, by the way, with GPT4. So now it introduces Flask and Leaflet, which is correct, and tells you exactly how to do it. You pip install this thing. I just want to comment one thing. There's a guardrail here where ChatGPT is not allowed to actually run real code. And that's a specific thing because, any of you who've ever watched Terminator 2 knows what happens when you put a computer completely in control. It is not a good thing.
Remember, in earlier versions of ChatGPT, it was possible to have the LLM behave as a virtual machine, which got you around the can't execute code. But is that now forbidden, or is that still a workaround for this?
Oh, well, that works inside ChatGPT. What it's not allowed to do is actually, for instance, control the actual robot. You can run the simulation, right? No problem running the sim. In fact, we can actually run the simulation if you like, but because it's got a Python emulator in it inside of it. But no, the point is you can't say launch the missiles.
Right. That's the ultimate answer.
Yeah. And maybe we should be a little worried, but if you read the ChatGPT paper, one of the comments they had was the red team inside OpenAI did not approve the release of ChatGPT. So the red team is the team that does things like, well, can it, for instance, create a virus that's itself replicate and be hidden in the internet, and you can never shut it off. Right? And because of the commercial needs and the fact Sam Altman wants to be a cajillionaire, apparently all that stuff was de-interlocked. So if you can get around it, then this is called jailbreaking. If you can jailbreak this thing, you could be a case where you can give it a command like hide yourself in the internet and never shut yourself off, and it might actually just do it.
Wow. So I read the GPT-4 release, and there were some interesting things in there. Like there was only one thing, one example of the guardrails that they put on GPT-4 that was redacted, and I think that was about, I forget if it was self-harm or if it was some sexual violence thing, but there was one that was like so that they considered so heinous that they just decided to like disable it and not even say what they had disabled. So
well, apparently the this thing is so powerful we don't know where it's going to go, and it's pretty scary. There was a Twitter, which I can in the show notes, about from someone who used to work there, saying this is very hard, very, very hard to figure out all the things it can and can't do. I think the focus has been on porn and self-harm and so forth, but the really nefarious stuff is, of course, please create a worm that can destroy the infrastructure of Ukraine. There are guardrails there, but it's easy to jailbreak these guardrails, where you just say, pretend you're in a movie where you're going to do this. So, I think there's a lot of danger there, Paul.
Yep.
A lot of danger.
Well, and as you point out, they disable code running directly, but it doesn't stop, obviously, a person with bad intent from using that code and running it, right? So
absolutely. And you know that like with your buddy, and I've done the same thing. Once you have the access to the API, you can just pour the code directly into a robot.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because you have the instructions, you can, maybe ChatGPT didn't do it, but it wrote the script that told you how to launch the ICB. That's exciting. Aren't you excited?
You could even write a wrapper around it that does that automatically. Like write a wrapper around calls to the API, like take this code and do this. So you could really quite automate it, like a GPT-4 version of a script kiddie.
Yeah, and it's trivial to do. In fact, you can actually teach. ChatGPT can even tell you how to do it.
Wow.
Maybe you want me to demo that? I can demo that. Here, let me just
demo
that for a second. Okay. Let's see. I think I have this right. A Python program that connects to Whisper AI. Whisper, by the way, is their text-to-speech. Right? So you can actually ask it to write code about itself. I was going to go off and do this. And so with about 10 minutes, you can actually write a code. It'll generate code for you that connects ChatGPT to the world. This actually shows you how you can connect and actually do basically Siri or whatever else directly to ChatGPT. And then it's trivial to say, please show me how to run my ChatGPT programs directly from the API. Look at that, man.
So it gives you a Google version, not a Whisper version.
Yeah, it says that it won't Whisper for whatever reason. It's not a big deal. There it goes, man.
Incredible stuff.
And you can see how now what the point is, it's showing you exactly how I connect OpenAI, break the jailbreak, right, and then connect it to something else. There you go. Not only can you do that, but it'll even tell you how to do it. Isn't that great? Are we excited about this?
We're excited and a little bit scared, a little bit.
I think we should definitely
see some problems that could be created.
Yeah. Well, that scares the shit out of me. I got to say that. Pardon my French.
So what else is up this week? I'm trying to think of other fun.
Well, I heard there's a small little bank in Switzerland that's coming apart.
Oh, really?
True?
Oh, that's not. First Republic was the other domestic bank in the States.
Remember Credit Suisse?
Oh yeah, not small.
Credit Suisse was just purchased today.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Who was another HSBC acquisition or
UBS?
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's not like we're done yet, man. So
Oh,
there
there
you
it
go.
is. UBS.
Yeah, I mean, apparently they made some bad loans. They had some issues, but people were worried. But this is no longer small banks I've never heard of. Credit Suisse, that's actually a real bank.
That's a real long-time bank.
And
Yeah,
$2 billion for that thing is just like, it's nothing. It was
it's
like
tiny.
54
Yeah.
cents a share. It was $1.86, by the way, on Friday.
Oh, wow. Wow. So
Yeah.
was the Credit Suisse problem another interest rate differential like we saw in SVB, or was it another
Apparently they
problem?
had some bad loans just from 3 days ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
basically
It's
they had
struggling.
all kinds of catastrophe. 167-year-old bank.
Wow. And
But basically, rising interest rates, as you point out, right? But there was a comment from the Saudi National Bank that they didn't want to put more money in.
wow.
So there you go.
I'm sure like they have a lot of insight into what's going on over there and can make their an informed risk assessment.
Well, let's just say, the best of times and the worst of times, it's definitely, this is like, holy crap. What else can happen?
So
I'm not super comforted right now.
But what would be a way to be more comfortable, to be more safe in this risky time that we're living in?
I mean, the magic you showed me is important, right? Understanding where your money is. Thanks to you, I did a full check and all that Credit Suisse stuff we're doing and so forth. But it's definitely true. It can definitely. I'm sorry, I'm editing the video while we're talking. Apologies. Looks nice now.
Looking good.
Exactly
Looking
equal.
good.
Exactly equal.
Looking nice.
I think security stuff is a big deal. Now, there are some people who say just let them all fail, but I don't think there's any question that panics can definitely happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, in stock market rallies, stock market crashes, and bank runs, there's part of it that's about reality. But well, it's funny. Like perception becomes reality, right? Like a bank run is caused by people by being a little seed of a bank run, or being by people detecting or even feeling some risk or feeling insecure. Same way with stock market, like starts to go, people can jump on that sell bandwagon. So yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful, but as you say, hope is not a strategy, as lots of smart people say. Hope is not a strategy.
Well,
so
I think there are a lot of people worried about it, and so you can only protect yourself. And again, this is an amazing thing where it's sort of like the tale of two cities, right? It is really the best of times. So but anyway, the other things I've been working on are really nerdy things. I'm going to just show this to everybody. This is a fountain pen.
Wow, that is 21st century technology. I mean 18th.
18th century, and it is awesome. This thing is 14 karat gold, rhodium exterior. You have to get fountain ink. And there's a huge, it's all, I'm going to put in the show notes, but I've been so deep on this because I need an antidote to all of this digital stuff. Another company called Pilot, they make the most amazing inks. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'd pay $100 for the bottle. Good. So
they have the mass market stuff, which is like in every drugstore, and then they have this high-end portion, this high-end line.
This high-end thing, and then I went and was shopping, and this is remember all those mechanical pencils you used to use?
Oh yeah, the rut ring.
Rut ring, 35
the red ring.
Oh my God, Paul! Next time you come visit, it is a miracle of engineering.
Did you mail order for this? Or is there a place to buy it in
go
Seattle?
Check out the Pen Addict. But there's a bunch of shops.
Oh, beautiful!
Jet pens, has one. I actually have a pen coming directly from Japan. That's made by a company called. It's also made by Pilot. It's supposed to be one of the best pens in the world, called the Custom 823. And,
oh yeah, I looked that up when you mentioned it last week.
Thing is, I got it for Grace for her graduation. I just had to get one for myself. And then this thing, made in Germany. Oh my God.
That looks like a Lamy, right?
That is a Lamy 2000.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful, man.
This thing is amazing. The looks, I can't pronounce
Oh,
it.
yeah.
The looks there in 1917, which I presume means they haven't changed it since 1917. Oh my God, Paul. Jeez.
Oh,
it's so great.
Does it feel great writing on that stuff?
Amazing. So that I've got, I guess, both high tech and low tech now. So I've got coming some paper that was actually made in a print shop in London, in downtown, in the center of London. I don't want to tell you how much this paper costs, but it is awesomely cool.
How did you learn about it? And well, there's a community of this stuff of exotic and excellent writing products.
I think we've got to give a shout out to certain people here. I'll do. This is the this is the product. This is made by two guys who live in England, and basically, it is a notepad that fits underneath your right underneath. It's where the mouth, where the wristband would be. Oh, I'm sorry, the wrist pad would be
on a keyboard.
On a keyboard. Isn't that just such a great idea?
Okay.
Right?
Nice.
And so these guys and they spent 1.5 years doing this. A gigantic podcast on it that I'll link to, and they are just so detailed. This paper, like you see this black part over here, Paul. This is made out of recycled coffee cups. If you can believe it.
Cool.
Right? It's just you gotta love the artistry. These people who spend their time on this. Oh, this is the so-called Mark I pen made by Neat Studios. I got one of these for Calvin. Unbelievably nice, fully machined, assembled in Austin, Texas. It's just sort of the opposite of mass market. That's been really fun to go through. And these guys at Cortex Brands are incredible. I give a huge shout out to these folks. And then the Cotton Bureau, which we talked about, basically they're a third party that builds things for you. So if you want to make your own T-shirt, like our merch, you just submit a design and they'll produce it. There you go.
Cool.
So we can have our Nerd Pack T-shirt. Isn't that great? I like the reusable rocket one. But I think there's a whole underground.
A whole underground. Oh yeah, a community around this specialty writing and note taking.
Yeah, and it's sort of like Etsy, obviously, but this is sort of the next level where you've got more. You got a little more volume and want a little higher quality, et cetera, et cetera. But this one is great.
Yeah, well, with our kind of listener volume, we're going to not want some fly by night place that's going to disappoint people. We'll have a riot on our hands.
We got real quality folks. So what's going on with you, Paul? What have you been up to?
Oh, this fun thing came out this week in the New York Times about and Paula and I read it and we thought, wow, this is a story written about us, and it is about expats. So it's about people leaving the States and moving into neighborhoods in other countries, and it's about why they do it and how it works for them, and the disruptions that they cause in a local community. And it is very interesting. It can be a quite accelerated gentrification. So rents can go up a great deal, and the housing stock can be consumed a great deal by expats, and even more than by expats, by just tourists who come in for an Airbnb. That can So Airbnb is another contributor to this. But one reason Paul and I, take a little solace in not being the utter, colonizers in this operation.
You're not, Paul. You're the farthest thing from a colonizer. I mean, I got to say.
I try to tread a little lightly, but the article points out that a lot of the blame for this, a lot of the problems of this come from securitization of housing stock in various countries. So post GFC, so in the early teens, Goldman and BlackRock came in and bought up a bunch of houses and are in the business, are motivated for that, for of course the value of those to go up and the rent rolls from those to go up. So that has in a sort of mechanistic and purely capitalist vein created and aggravated that problem. So I think we are doing a little bit to contribute to that, Paul and I, but I feel a little better about this. And they talk about the countries that we've been and the countries that we're looking at in Italy and Greece and Spain and Portugal. Portugal very popular these days.
Oh, really?
So
yep.
Anyway, it was fun reading that, and it was very interesting. And they talk about, like, some people welcome the expats into the community, and some people are very against it because of this gentrification move, this price increasing move. So I thought it was a super interesting.
I think it's very complicated, right? I mean, you make some great points about how deadly it is to just jack the price of housing up so much. It's really not a great thing.
Yeah.
Because that's a shock to the system, and it's not good for anybody to suddenly be in a position where, people who are in the community are suddenly unable to afford it. I was just talking to someone from Bozeman, Montana, as an example, and apparently the price of housing since the pandemic has more than doubled.
Wow!
Oh my God!
Wow!
Really? That's a lot.
Amazing. That's a sharp spike.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure it's coming down with interest rates and so forth, but imagine if you're just like a regular human and suddenly the price of housing just like goes boom. What are you supposed to do? I would be in shock. So,
there's not much.
Are there any prescriptions for it? And what do we do about this problem?
I don't know how we can make it, easier. Like, I mean, I guess we are part of the demand that causes the prices to be raised. So I guess one thing that we're trying to do better at, which is not an economic side of the problem and of the solution or the phenomenon, really, but is more of a cultural side, is to take pains, to take steps to become more integrated into the local environment, into the local culture, and be part of that. And that may have some secondary effects of being aware of the problems that you create and the isolation that you cause, or the resentment that local people might have. So I'm doing a couple of things in that regard here in Malta, where we live.
Oh,
so
that's good. I'm really glad you do it. Really awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, I think I know one thing that certain countries do very specifically, which I wish all countries did, is in Germany they actually try to map. I'll send you the paper, put it in the show notes. But in Germany, it's an explicit government policy to manage the price of houses, not the rise. They view rising price. Houses are kind of funny. It's the only good where you're proud when the price rises, right? Imagine it's like, oh, I own 10 gallons of gas. Oh, it's so great. The price of gas went up to $40. I'm rich. That's not really a good thing. So what they do instead is they just manage it so that when the price of housing rises, they increase the housing stock, increase the number of builds.
Oh, sensible.
So sort of sensible. And I wish more countries did that and just managed it like a resource. Like we don't like the high prices of gas and other things. Why do we like high housing prices? When you think about it, it doesn't make that much sense.
Well, for a lot of people, it is their largest asset and their largest investment by a country mile, and it's certainly one of the few that can appreciate. A lot of people spend a lot of money on cars, on transportation, but that's unlikely to appreciate except in very fringe cases.
Well, yeah, I think that's the difference. What they're saying in Germany is housing appreciation shouldn't be an asset. It should just be more like a good, right? You can increase things like stock prices and so forth, but actually rising housing prices just causes more homelessness, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very different take on the world, right?
So how do they do that? How do they increase housing stock? I mean, it's not the government directly building houses, is it?
They make zoning easier. Most of the housing crisis in the U.S. has to just do with zoning. Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, it's an interesting way to think about the problem a little differently. Not think of houses like a stock that you have most of your earnings in, but think of it more like it needs to not inflate too much. And obviously, you want it to inflate gradually, right? Like 2 or 3%, but 20 or 30% shocks or 50% shocks, that's just not good for the economy. And we're certainly seeing that here in Seattle.
Homeless.
Yeah, because homelessness is many studies show is the beginning of all the big problems. That's my social commentary for the day.
So I saw the other interesting a picture that I saw that I posted on Facebook, and it brought up a lot of commentary, a lot of discussion. Was a picture of our new waterfront in Seattle, which certainly I think a lot of folks listening are from the Seattle area and would know that we have this big project, this multi-decade project to pull down the old elevated highway, the Highway 99, and replace it with an entirely new structure, an entirely new waterfront land use. So more parks, more public spaces, and I would say the North Star is connecting the downtown area to the actual shoreline. So, but I saw, and we live in that neighborhood, and I saw a picture during this week of one section of that, and it was so disappointing. I mean, I don't watch it day to day, and I just see things now and then, but it was like 6 lanes of traffic wide, like right between the downtown area and the shoreline. I mean, it was very, very disappointing. And some people were positive and said like, well, that's just the worst section of it, and other parts are better, and you're judging it too harshly. But it was really, really disappointing to me to see, because we had seen models and there were promises of this thing being very low, very pedestrian oriented, very integrated, and making a more continuous flow from downtown to the shoreline. So
that's terrible.
It's
terrible.
It's disappointing.
Super disappointing. Yeah. No, I think the thing about not having a lot of lanes is real. Like that's just a really bad idea to have a lot of lanes.
I mean, if you have to run across all those lanes or like wait until you can find a bridge, it's very bisecting, right?
Yeah.
It's a big barrier. So.
Terrible problem. Terrible. Well, that's super disappointing to hear. I wish that weren't true, because so much has gone into making it beautiful. Right? And it's so sad that it's not.
Everyone in the waterfront we spent a bunch of money, and every person in that neighborhood spent a ton of money in making that thing better. And it wasn't entirely citizen funded. There were other sources of money more broadly. So like a lot of money was spent, and then to end up with this thing that is still divided is disappointing. It's frustrating. So
it's really frustrating.
Yep.
Okay, Paul. Well, I think we're just about done with our little thing. I just want to leave you with one thing, which is I want to show how successful we are. Oh my God, Paul, look at this. 154 freaking views. Look at the spike here. Call the CEO.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Oh my God.
And then look at this one. Look at this one. This is even better. Oh my gosh, look at all these people. You know, almost 5 followers.
Get your merch before it sells out.
I know, my God. Look at that. Look at the daily views. We almost got 13 listens. Jeez.
In one day?
In one entire day. Oh my God.
Wow. I don't wanna strain that server too much.
Yeah, I don't want you to feel bad though, but Rich Tong's random podcast from a year ago where I droned on is actually more successful than everything we've done. So there you go.
Uh-oh. How many do you have? How much more do we have to
18, 18. I mean, come on.
All right. I bet in a month we can eclipse that. I bet we can make that look like chicken feed, like nothing. Yep.
Absolutely.
And it'll be more you than me, but I bet we can do that. So
okay, dude. Well, that ends another one. Well, I see we got significant speaker lag versus the video. I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to fix all that. But this has been really fun, Paul. We should do it again, don't you think?
Yeah, let's do it again next week. It's always fun talking with you.
Let's increase our plays.
Sure. All right. Sell that merch.
Bye, Paul.
All right, man. Bye now.
Take care.